Can we say that Stalker 2 turned out well? Undoubtedly, it's a good game and has already sold decently. 1 million copies have been purchased. But there's a catch. The game doesn't run well on PC, though this isn't surprising as we've seen plenty of examples of similar games. However, what's really disappointing is the much advertised artificial intelligence system called A-Life 2. To make this video more engaging, I invite you to share in the comments the worst bugs you've encountered in Stalker 2. It'll be fun to read and laugh together. But first, let's revisit old interviews with the developers and take a quote about what the A-Life 2 system is supposed to be. This information was shared by one of the developers just a month ago, and here's what he said at the time. It all depends on the faction or type of monster you encounter. Some of them defend their territory because our A-Life 2 system is built on several pillars. There is an offline mode where some events take place in the background, and during your passage you can see the results of either shootouts or battles with mutants and so on. Some factions or mutants have their own habitat, and some of them can just roam the map. Therefore, life in the zone happens both in front of the player's eyes and outside of their field of vision. Interestingly, after the release of Heart of Chernobyl, players on Reddit noticed that the mention of the A-Life system had been removed from the game's description on Steam before launch. However, the description can still be read on the official website in the FAQ section. Questions about A-Life are among the most frequently asked in the fan community. Many players expressed dissatisfaction and disappointment, as this system was one of the most intriguing and appealing features of the new project. In short, A-Life is a simulation of life in the zone. Now I'll show you a mission from the beginning of the game, where all dreams about a life simulation are simply shattered. So, the mission was to get into this building, and as I approached it, I only saw friendly enemies. However, this idiot later attacked me. I thought, okay, maybe it's because I pulled out my weapon, so I put it away and stood directly in front of a man looking at me through binoculars. He couldn't notice me for a long time. Then started shooting me in the face. A paradox, especially considering another scenario where enemies spot you literally through walls. There's no stealth in this game. You can walk far away in a field past an enemy outpost, and they'll still somehow see you. It doesn't matter if you're hiding in grass or skulking in the dark at night. The moment you cross a certain region where an enemy is, all enemies nearby are automatically alerted, and let's not forget situations where you've cleared an area, are looting bags and boxes, and suddenly more enemies spawn right behind you. Speaking of boxes, am I the only one annoyed by having to crouch every time and often missing the box on the first try? They're so inconvenient that I don't even feel like looting them. Back to the mission. There was a stealth path along a pipe to the second floor. The problem is that as soon as I reached the second floor, even while hiding, the enemies somehow spotted me. I'll remind you that in their interviews, the developers claimed that even the time of day would affect the stealth approach. At night, you wouldn't be noticed and you could hide in the darkness, but the reality is that neither night works, nor do walls, nor even long distances between you and the enemies. Essentially, stealth in this game is completely broken, and as for the system where the world lives independently of us, that's a complete lie. The most you'll see is stalkers fighting mutants, but even then, NPCs simply disappear into thin air or pop into existence. That's the only semblance of a living world in this game. We were also promised complete freedom, but I've noticed that all locations are either fenced off by tall climbs you can't scale, or by fences and doors requiring a code. And the code is only given as part of the storyline. Honestly, it feels very outdated to restrict players everywhere with code locks, and the worst decision by the developers, water. This is probably the first game since GTA Vice City where our hero instantly dies upon entering water. Yes, Skiff can't swim at all. And it's ridiculous. At the very least, he could swim a few meters and then die from radiation, for example. But no, they made it as primitive as possible. Needless to say, bloodsuckers constantly jump out at us, forcing us to run in circles and use up all our ammo. And by the way, there's no real reaction to gunfire. Just a red blood cloud appears and that's it. Don't even get me started on the inventory, which is always full. Here's the paradox, I don't even carry weapons in my inventory. I just lug around bullets, canned food, and vodka. Yet I'm still overburdened. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater, but if you give such a limited inventory, at least add the ability to upgrade strength like in Fallout so we can carry more over time. Otherwise, it's just torture. Another issue is the quick access bar. For some reason, canned food or sausages are automatically placed there instead of medkits or bandages. You constantly have to change it manually in the inventory. This isn't hardcore, it's just clunky and wrong. And let's not forget the map. I spent hours because the developers misused the waypoint system. Don't misunderstand me, I'm not a casual gamer. But Stalker 2 has a huge map that's tough to traverse because you're always overloaded. On the map, it seems like you can reach another island through various paths. However, out of all these locations, there's only one correct way, and it's unmarked. At one point, I arrived at a green gate. They were massive and there was no way around them. I thought this couldn't be the right path since it was completely blocked. So I searched for a crossing through the water. Remember, skiff can't swim. After wasting hours, I returned to the green gate, tried opening a white door and found that it was indeed the path. But nothing in the game indicates that this door is usable, and the marker on the map points to another island when it should point to this door. Why is this a problem? Because the game is filled with similar doors, all locked. Game designers usually make locked doors appear sealed or blocked to show players they're inactive. Since the developers ignored this basic rule, I didn't even consider this door and spent hours looking for another way. If you're going to break such design rules, at least put a marker on the door. Alright, let's stop criticizing the game. There's a lot of good in it too, like the weather and emissions. The developers also gave us good news. They might patch the A-Life system soon, though I suspect this system doesn't even exist. Here's what they said. We know that this system is very important to the zone having an immersive atmosphere, and we will do our best to fix the known issues, one developer said on Discord. We are aware of this behavior, said another. We will be fixing A-Life 2 with nearest patches. It sounds great, but is it really possible to fix something that doesn't exist? What do you think, folks? Write your thoughts in the comments, as well as the bugs and creepiest glitches you've encountered in the game. It'll be interesting to read.